John Lothian News wants you to be safe and for us to be able to return to being with one another again. To get there, we need to do the following to beat this pandemic. Wear a mask, stay 6 feet apart, wash your hands for 20 seconds at a time, and self-monitor your temperature. Stay safe, stay smart. From barchart.com, which serves over 2 million users per month, to market data and technology solutions for commodity, financial, and media businesses, Barchart connects you to the markets.
Help capture the history of our markets by contributing to the John Lothian News GoFundMe campaign to support the MarketsWiki Education history-focused video series and more.
In 1987, I walked down to the floor of the Cboe, having a freshly minted degree in economics, excited to begin a career which, in what I thought would have been trading. It was not. I was to be a clerk for a few years, working for Steve Fawcett in his organization at the time. And it was an incredible experience. From the first day on the trading floor, the energy, the engagement, nonstop action. It's very, very exciting. But I realized very, very quickly I had much to learn. This was a complex business with many things that were brand new to me. But it started making sense each and every day a little bit more. I would talk to established traders. I would talk to Steve's entire team, just trying to get any information I possibly can to make sense of this really what appeared to be an awesome, awesome opportunity. So over the years, I progressed from clerk. Steve allowed me to trade, and that means that he backed me. I worked for Steve Fawcett. He put money in my trading account. I leased a seat from him. And for years, I traded for Steve's various trading organizations and had just an incredible time. Learning each and every day, trying different strategies, and really learning by action. So at that time, Steve didn't believe in intense tutorials or mentorships. He wanted to back you in your account, see what you would learn on your own, and find a natural hedge if all his traders were adopting their own style. And he would oversee all of those, but it was quite an experience. A lot of mistakes along the way, and a very, very patient Steve Fawcett along the way, which I would never have gotten where I am today without his patience, understanding, and just progressing through the process. What was really interesting to me was the way in which Cboe as an organization, as an exchange run by its members, began looking to the future, bringing on new stocks. There were committees for just about anything you can think of, and they were run by the members and supported by the staff of the Cboe. And I didn't know any of those Cboe staff at the time, but I went through the committee process. I joined a number of different committees over the years, and I was able to serve on one in particular, the Equity Floor Procedures Committee, which really determined the manner in which trades would occur on the floor. So it was all of the rules and all of the procedures for making trades on the floor. And at that time, it was all an open outcry. I found it fascinating. I learned from an incredible chairman at the time, Rick Bruder, who had a terrific career at Cboe. He was a board member at the time, but really made sure that all of the members of his committee were engaged because they were making the decision on behalf of the entire Cboe membership. So a great opportunity and an incredible lesson learned on including the broader. He had a great mix of traders, brokers, traders. He had their clerks in the room. So he had a great perspective and far beyond the scope that he saw each and every day. And I took a big, hard lesson from that to involve people in decisions and to give them all the information so that we can all make a collective better decision. I eventually, under his supervision, as he rose up on the board, he named me chairman of that committee, and I served on that committee for many, many years. Eventually, chairing the committee while Cboe was redefining itself into a hybrid trading mechanism, a hybrid trading floor. That is the move away from all open outcry trading to incorporating the best of technology and the best of open outcry. So Cboe was defining a hybrid trading arena and a hybrid trading exchange. And it was really cool to bring the membership through that process. So that's a little bit about the background before I began working for Cboe in about 2006. Well, I didn't set out knowing I wanted to work for the exchange. I absolutely love trading. Every Sunday night was the eve of something really exciting on a Monday. So I enjoyed every opportunity to get up and trade. I loved the people that I was trading with. The competition for participation on trades was vigorous. It excited me. It was awesome. The homework before trading, retrading things in your head throughout the day, an if-then scenario, looking at every possible outcome of trades. I loved it. So I didn't always know I wanted to work outside of that industry, but as outside of the trading industry and for the exchange, I think as we were developing the hybrid trading system, I understood that technology was going to change the manner in which I was able to participate. And at that time, I was building a wonderful relationship with Bill Brodsky. As I say, I was working with his incredibly talented team at Cboe on developing hybrid trading. I really learned that there are incredible, gifted people at Cboe, and I love the organization. And with his leadership, not afraid of change in the industry, really gave me the power to make the changes for Cboe, for its future, so we were prepared for the competition that was ahead of us. I should say at about that same time, I ran for the board and was elected by my peers to represent them as a board member. So I was elected to be vice chairman of the exchange by my peers. And then Bill Brodsky offered me a job to be executive vice president of Cboe. And at that point, I knew trading was going to be behind me, and the opportunity and the doors that Bill Brodsky opened were ones that I couldn't wait to go through and learn from him and his incredibly talented staff. You know, the technology you learned was a little different. I was a practitioner. So from my perspective, it was how do you make a trade, which was traditionally done in open outcry. And Cboe along the way was making firsts at every turn. So we had the first handheld terminal as a market maker. I was involved in testing that. So there was a slow learning curve for me in embracing technology, but I would never, ever categorize myself as an expert in technology, but certainly the people around me, which I also learned from Bill and from Steve Fawcett, was just surround yourself with really smart people and let their expertise fill the gaps in your knowledge. And that's exactly what I've done, not just in 2006, I'm doing it today. I have really smart people around me who really round out the gaps in my knowledge, and I lean on them and rely on them heavily each and every day. And it's not just in technology, it's in finance, it's in law, it's in HR, it's in just about everything. But that philosophy is stuck with me. Change is difficult. We're talking about someone's livelihood, and no one took that lightly. And what we pledged to one another was we were going to be totally transparent. And change was going to be painful, but we were going to tell people where the change is coming, how it's coming, and allow them to prepare to make those changes. And it was very, very difficult. And Bill took the brunt of that. He set himself up to take the brunt of that. And I learned an incredible lesson from him that tough decisions are tough, and you make them and you live with them, but you're transparent with people. And we had incredible conversations, and it really taught me a great deal about leadership and equally important about communication and transparency. But it was difficult. So as the member elected vice chairman at the time, I would have to get up in front of the membership and say, you know, here's the latest of this great idea we've been talking about changing the way you make your living. And it was very, very difficult. And in speaking to large rooms, which I never had done, the feedback was instant. These are traders after all, so we were very honest with one another and in your face honesty, and I appreciated that. But the one-offs, the conversations I've had on individuals who totally disagreed with the direction we were going in, look me in the eye and say, I understand why you're doing this. I appreciate the honesty and being straightforward. I don't like it, but I appreciate the communication and the method. Yeah, so at the time, ISE, the All Electronic Exchange, was making pretty rapid inroads as an all electronic competitor. And while we were mindful of that as traders, we thought that wouldn't last. There's no way a computer can offer the same experience for a customer as we can in Open Outcry. The depth of market, price improvement beyond the screen, all the things we take for granted today in auctions and automated auctions and price improvement mechanisms had not been born yet. There was just this electronic version of what we were doing each and every day, and none of us believed that it would last. But we knew it was out there, and those of us on the committee wanted to embrace the best of both. So we did not want to throw away the best of Open Outcry and replace it totally with a screen. We did know there was value add. There's still value add in face-to-face negotiation. So competition was part of the decision, but really what was next for the customer? What were the customer demands and how are their tastes changing? And at the end of the day, the democratization of the markets were really where we all won, where customers had the same access to the markets as professionals did, the same transparency, the same point and click at the time, new concept. So it was really exciting times. Competition played a bit of a role, but the evolution in this market, we're going to change tomorrow, and it's not due to competition purely. It's just due to the changing nature of providing liquidity to an ever-changing customer base. So when we rolled out the idea of hybrid to our entire community and said, here's the deal. Here's where we're going to go. We're really going to take a big leap toward screen-based trading, but we're not going to abandon the good aspects, the value-add aspects of Open Outcry. And we're going to do that in a measured way. We're going to do that with dials and switches, dials that we can turn really, really far to what you know today in Open Outcry. And over time, keep clicking those dials more and more to embrace screen-based trading. And ultimately, we will allow the customer to decide how they'd like their orders to be represented. And that's where we find ourselves today after all those years of evolution. The end of the day, the customer can decide how they want their orders to interact with Cboe and Cboe's match engine. So you can look at Cboe today as an all electronic exchange, or you can look at Cboe today as an all Open Outcry exchange, or you can look at the best of both. And those orders that need special attention can use the Open Outcry aspect of Cboe, and those that are more plain vanilla can use and view us as a screen-based trading platform. So in every evolution, what we observed is that the members of the exchange were changing. So the founders in 1973 had evolved to a certain point and they began retiring. The next generation, which I was in, took us all the way into hybrid trading, and our skill set was being replaced by those with a more quantitative background. And that evolution continues to where we find ourselves today, where the makeup of the members is very, very different. These are major, major international and global liquidity providing market making firms. And back when I started trading, many of us were independent or backed by individuals. But that evolution has been over many, many years, and we find Cboe still has the greatest pool of liquidity in any exchange I can think of around the world. And that is due to where we began. We were the derivatives exchange and just attracted a different breed, a different level of quantitative analysis over the years. It's really quite amazing if you look at the difference over time of the makeup of our members. Sure. So the concept of hybrid trading still exists today at Cboe. We had a huge wake-up call when we turned our trading floor off. All Open Outcry was shut down due to the pandemic earlier this year in March. And we went to all screen-based trading over the weekend. And some of that value add, the brokers in particular on our trading floor offer just an incredible insight into the markets in real time to their customers. And their access point was completely cut off between the manner in which they can get that information, that transparency, that view into the market for market makers, in a remote environment. It really tested their skill set and as well as the market makers. And the most complex trades that benefit the most from interaction with face-to-face interaction were challenged. And that was a valuable lesson for us. And we immediately embarked on a virtual trading concept that's pending now at the SEC that embraces the tools that are available to a broker on the floor and incorporates them into this kind of interaction with market makers and other brokers. So we still find great value in this face-to-face negotiation, and we're trying to make the next leap in technology to bridge that gap should we need to close that trading floor in the future. The question I'm asked often, Suzanne, is when do you plan on closing the trading floor? And it's one I've been asked since the day we introduced the hybrid concept. And every market maker would walk up to me and say, is this the year? Is this the year? I said, it's not the year. It's just not the year. And I'm not going to be making that decision. Our customers are going to make that decision. Remember, we allow the customer to represent their order fully screen-based or with a broker. And when they find no utility in calling their broker, that's when the trading floor will be closed. Now, of course, that's absent any health issues or anything around the pandemic. But the evolution of trading still relies on the customer making that decision. So the floor will close when the customer says, you know what, I'm just not getting any more value add out of my broker. I'm going to go all screen based, and that's when we'll close our trading floor. Of course, as I say, health issues aside, that's the current trajectory that we're on. A lot of the questions that I'm asked as a follow-up in the timing of going to hybrid, we saw an incredible uptick in volume across the industry. That was really led initially by how customers can interact with derivatives trading. So it was really the movement of, at the time, think of Options Express back then before they were bought, and the early movers in TD and E-Trade and how they were embracing technology in their attempt to democratize the experience for their customers. And then again, with the OIC and Cboe's Options Institute, the push toward education and just broadening the reach of the potential users for derivatives, teaching Delta One traders or customers that were trading just individual stocks, the benefits of changing the risk profile and incorporating options strategies, basic strategies into their portfolios was really gaining speed at a really rapid pace. That perfect intersection as exchanges were able to service that heightened level of volume. The timing was perfect. Trade engines were getting hardened. Capacity was increasing. At the same time, customers were finding more and more utility. So it was really, really nice to see the volume grow with all of the changes and continues to do so today. So Cboe's come a long way since those discussions and the vision that we all had with changing the manner in which trades occurred. Bill's insistence and constant push that in order to be a global contender, we need to embrace all of the changes and all the technology that was available in the world. His view, it was always a much broader view than mine. His work with WFE, the World Federation of Exchanges, allowed him to see growing pains in different areas of the globe that I just was not subject to. I didn't have that exposure. He did, and he knew change was coming a lot more clearly than I did. And we find ourselves today with, I think, a technology advantage at Cboe after our acquisition of BATS, that we have a technology stack and expertise that allows us to compete in the most competitive markets in the world. And we do so each and every day, and it allows us then to go from trading equities, which are the most competitive, to derivatives, where really the heart and the history of Cboe were. But it is technology driven. Make no mistake about it. It is the advantage that is Cboe's as we look at new venues, new geographies, and new asset classes, and leveraging the stack and the expertise that has been developed in the combination over the years between Cboe and now most recently with BATS. So it's an incredible move from the ideas and the push that initially came from Bill.
John Lothian News would like to thank those individuals who have contributed to our MarketsWiki Education GoFundMe campaign. Their financial assistance allows us to produce and distribute videos like this for our Open Outcry Traders History Project or the Path to Electronic Trading video series. Join them in supporting John Lothian News, capturing the history of our industry.